In this recording, I'm going to continue with the selections for making the elephant. And I left off on the spatula. And I want to make a selection around the spatula, and I want to be able to duplicate it multiple times to kind of begin to fill in the back. So the first thing I want to do is maybe start with the quick selection tool to select the background, which I will then delete away from the spatula. Now, it's not easy to always select the background on this. It tends to spill in to the spatula itself, but if I do that, which I just did, when I came around this corner, it was too close in values, I guess, to the color, and I ended up making a selection of the whole square. So I'll choose the Option Alt key, and I'll select the inside here of the spatula and subtract that from the outside. So now the selection that's active includes this whole background layer area, and I can just press the delete or backspace key on a PC to delete the outside area. I'm going to delete the active selection right now, and I want to turn off a couple of these background layers to see what that selection looks like against the plain white background. And I can see that I left some of these fringe pixels here. So I'm going to choose the eraser tool, and I want to erase those fringe pixels. This way, if I duplicate this image again, use it more than once, I don't have to correct this multiple times. And so now, let's say I feel like this looks a little ragged, so maybe I could use something like the Refine Edge tool to make these edges look a little bit smoother. The Refine Edge, but the only way I can do Refine Edge is if I have both a selection tool selected, didn't mean to move that over, and I have an active selection, which I don't have right now. That's why Refine Edge is grayed out. So a shortcut way to reactivate a selection is to hold down the Command or Control key and click on a selection if it is on a layer with transparent pixels. And you can reactivate the selection. You can also go up to the Select menu and choose Save Selection. And saving the selection will store this shape into the channels. I'll show this to you. I've saved it as a spatula. Looks like I've saved it before. And I now have it saved in channels, so if I should lose that selection, I could reload it again and without having to make a whole new selection over again. I'm going to click on Refine Edge. I'm going to smooth it just a little bit. I could maybe feather it 1 pixel. And I could maybe shift edge it maybe just a little bit, which cuts into the edges just a little bit, so in case there's a small amount of background that I didn't want to include in this selection, it would now be clipped off. And I'm only talking about 4 pixels in this case. And so it's not a lot. It's hardly noticeable. Down here, there's an option to output this to a selection, but there are some other options as well: layer mask, new layer with a layer mask. And I want to choose new layer with a layer mask because I would like you to be able to use this option in your project. And I realize at this point you don't know much about layer masks, but this is a good place to introduce you to them, and we'll get used to using them in the next project. So I'm going to output this selection to a new layer with a layer mask and click OK. So what's happened is I have this on a new layer, and I have the previous layer here without a mask, just a selection, and I have this one here with a mask, which if I hold down the Shift key and click on this, it shows me what the selection was before and after I refined edged it. Now, I have previously named the head for the elephant. And I would like now to start naming this selection here as part of the back. So I'm going to call this back. And then I'm going to Command J this, Command or Control plus J to duplicate the image. And I'll use the Move tool now to move that copy up a little bit. Maybe I want to transform it or rotate it just a little bit too. And I will press return. I will then duplicate this again. I could duplicate it by dragging this down to the sheet of paper at the bottom of the layers panel to duplicate it again. I could choose the Move tool to move it up. And so now I've got like 3 copies of the back that has been cleaned up. And this I could name Back Center. And this one I could name Back Front or Top. It says to make some distinguishable difference between them. This doesn't mean that I can't change the names again or move something around. It's possible I could still use this original copy that I used. Maybe I want to move this down and even use it, even though maybe it's not cleaned up entirely, but I could end up using it maybe for another piece of the elephant. Maybe Command T, transform it, or use it to fill in this area here. It's partially hidden underneath all the others, so maybe it doesn't matter if I keep it. But that can be considered now or later. I'm going to sort of press return for now to accept it and just turn off the eye. And if I decide to use that layer, I'll name it and put it in finish putting it into position.